Well, Matt, you and Chris have already talked about James Franklin, but according to Gary Pinkel, growth through adversity has been Franklin's greatest takeaway after a season, just riddled with injuries. And Chris, you talked about his sophomore campaign and the big numbers that he put up. Just listening to the huddle, and it was Steve Labotsky talking to his offensive line saying, there's two things I want you to pay attention to. That's cadence and take care of the football. Cadence, take care of the football. Back up to you, Dave. Coach Smart, on that second media timeout, you asked your team to go crash the boards. How do you think they responded in this first half?
I thought we did better. I was impressed with our urgency on the defensive end. We need to come up with more of the loose ball.
The discrepancy was not illegal formations for Coach English. The discrepancy was, can you block below the waist on scrimmage kicks? The answer is no, you can't unless it's a pass play, which in fact it was a pass play, so they were able to block below the waist, and that's what the entire argument was about. First half, the energy was nearly sucked out of Faroe Field. It wasn't until Randy Ponder's ejection for targeting that there was even a sign of life in this stadium with all the boos. And then after Marcus Murphy scored the touchdown, he came to the sideline, and it was like he was saying, finally, a highlight. And now the fans are back in the game, Matt. While you won the title, you still got some replenishing to do. Give us a little preview of this year's team.
Well, we recruited a pretty good class, but Angela, here, you got to win every game. And you got to win them by 20. If you win them by 10, they're like, what happened?
Alden came out of the locker room. He said, I'm confident in this team. He said, we fought them nail and nail. We're clawing and scratching to stay in this game. But in the second half, we've got to have better production out of our quarterback. We can't give up the big to the game of basketball. For example, when you would go into the high school gym, shoot hoops with nothing but the exit lights to see by.
Well, I don't know if it was dedication or just I was afraid I'd get caught if I turned the lights on. But it was something that it was an escape place for me. It was a place I could go and I didn't worry about my family problems. I didn't worry about anything. It was just me and the ball and the goal. And that sounds corny, and I understand that. But Roy Williams is pretty corny itself. But it was a great place for me to hide. It was a great place for me to escape. And it was a great place for me to do something I loved.
Well, if you haven't figured it out yet, women love corny, Coach.
I hope so. One has for 36 years.
Now, I hear you could easily steal the show from me, and that I'm supposed to ask you about some sort of a sack dance. I mean, can you do that for me?
Well, when I make a sack, I come back and I put my hands behind my back like I'm being locked down. And that just solidifies that I can't be locked down. So, after every sack, I like to give a fan something to look forward to.
Now, apparently Dabo Sweeney does an unbelievable impression of you. What's that all about?
I got him when we were at the Orange Bowl, and I kind of mimicked him on something when somebody asked me about it, but he got me back. He got me pretty good.
Thanks, John. Coach, your biggest first half of the year. Rate your offense so far.
Well, I think that they've controlled the game at times. I was really upset with them at the end, making a couple mistakes, putting the ball on the ground twice. But our defense. Really, the story is the defense. Giving the offense some momentum, and PJ's made a couple of huge throws.
How do you keep their composure in the second half?
Well, we have to learn that this is what it feels like, and we have guys hugging and smiling and stuff on the sidelines. And I'm going to go in there and make sure that they know we're supposed to get stronger as the game goes on, and so that wasn't good enough. We got to go play better in the second half, not be happy with what we did.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
And like Coach said, talking about the defense, Nate D. Smith stepping up at middle linebacker, switched only for this game, shining before the half, scoring the Temple's first defensive points of the game. We're just talking about you being a professional retiree. What is it like being here tonight, getting to experience this game?
Well, I coached for 57 years, and I was not able to do this. But I love the games that I've watched since I stopped coaching. I've sat in the fans sections. I don't like it up in the press box. I like it out here where I can hear the band.
Coach Kandasevic started out with a hot hand early with 6 points. He hasn't scored since the 15-minute mark. What does your team have to do to find a little more rhythm offensively?
Well, we have to quit turning the ball over and trust each other.
You had to settle for field goals, but you've been able to move the ball. Why has your offense been successful?
Yeah, we got to start scoring some touchdowns. They're too dangerous on offense for us to continuously, bog down in the red zone. I've made some bad calls down there, and then they did a great job with their punter. They're pinning us back after I called the timeout and gave them 3 points, so they got a little momentum. We get the ball coming out. We got to get it in the end zone.
It's a little warmer, and I got a guy here that's on fire, C.J. Spiller. The only negative thing that's happened to him today, he lost in the flag football game.
Yeah, I did take a loss. My first head coaching job debut, it didn't go as well. I think they gave me all the defensive guys. I didn't really have a Sammy Watkins or Andre Ellington to work with, but, I'll be back. I'll take that loss with pride, but we'll definitely be back ready next year.
How special was it to watch Clemson win the ACC championship this year?
Oh, it meant so much. I mean,
This manual here represents the passion and commitment that Aaron Murray brings to the football field. And the Army's defense will be without 3 of their leading tacklers. And Coach Ellerson told us that's going to affect how often they put pressure on Temple quarterback P.J. Walker. Coach, you told us about how experienced and how athletic this guy is. It's been nearly a year and a half since Pat McShane has even been on the football field. It was a time away to really have mental rehabilitation for this young man. Coach, a year ago we talked about Tanner Price, and you said it's so hard to ask a freshman to lead your team, but the scales have really tipped for him this year.
Well, I think a little bit of experience. We knew we had a great kid. You know, last year I didn't think Tanner played as bad as a sport.
Thanks, Dave. You're going to want to keep an eye out for Garrick Williams, number 74, the center for Wake Forest. He came out the first series with a tweaked right ankle. They taped it this last series. They put 3 rounds of tape on the outside of his shoe. Also, number 80, Andrew Parker, the tight end. He is out until the half. He also has a right ankle injury that they will look at during halftime. Dave. Coach, the spring is about teaching, assessment, schemes. How do you rate your Clemson football team today?
Well, I think we're on schedule. We got a lot of work to do, and you know, anytime you split the team up, there's going to be some give and take. But you know what? I think they're competing hard, and I really like some of the young guys.
Well, there's a lot of people in this community that's very proud of you, not just for your wins, but for something else you've done in the community. I had the pleasure of going over to the Emily K Center yesterday, and it was awesome. Tell us a little bit about that and the history.
Well, the Emily Krzyzewski Center is named after my mom, and my mom passed away about 15 years ago, but it's to help inner city kids in Durham.
Now, when you talk about Rutgers football and you think of your future and your rehab, what does this program mean to your future and rehab?
This program means the world to me. This is who I was. This is how I got hurt, playing for this program. And now knowing that my jersey number is retired, now I still put in the hard work. All the hard work I learned here goes into my hard work at rehab.